Testing, testing. You're not hearing any feedback on your computer? No. Okay, good.
Good morning. I am now officially calling this meeting to order on Thursday, March 19th at 10:05 a.m. At this point in time, Director Cardenas, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. Cardenas, sing.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we please have roll call, Lisa?
President Dockstader,
Present.
Vice President Estrada,
Here.
Secretary Singh,
Here.
Treasurer Morales, Director Aguilar,
Here.
Director Perez,
Here.
Director Cardenas, Director Kelly, Director Murillo, ex officio Joe Shea. Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank
Madam
you.
President, I am informed that both Director Kelly and Chairman Morales are on their way.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda? Seeing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So move.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Can I have a roll call vote? To approve the agenda as
President
presented?
Dockstader,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Secretary Singh,
Yes.
Director Aguilar,
Yes.
Director Perez,
Supervisor, you're on
Director-
mute. Sorry about that. Yes.
Director Murillo. Motion passed.
Thank you. Are there any public comments in the sea of people I see in the audience? I don't see
Not
any.
at this time.
Are there any online?
Not at this time.
Okay. Are there any board member comments? Does anybody have anything they want to share? Nope. Anybody online? Nope. Okay.
Larissa Sinclair.
Larissa, go ahead.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is going to be short and sweet. My name is Larissa Sinclair, and I'm currently developing a community-rooted Salton Sea pop-up museum project. And the goal is to bring together local history, memories, photography, ephemera, environmental context, and lived experiences. So this is very much in the early stages, but the goal is to create a meaningful public space for stories and materials that help like locals and visitors alike better understand the Salton Sea and the communities connected to it. So as part of that effort, the first thing I'm doing is I'm hosting a community open house this Sunday at North Shore Yacht Club, and inviting people to share ideas, memories, hang out, just see what they think it could be, or if they have any feedback on what I have planned. There will be a more public-facing pop-up event the following Saturday at the Yacht Club from 10 to 1. And then the following Wednesday from 5 to 8. And materials will be in both English and Spanish. So hope to see as many people who are curious about the cultural side of the sea to come join me.
And then Clarissa, just for confirmation, this Sunday, is it also from 10 to 1 on this Sunday?
No, this Sunday it's from 2 to 6 p.m.
Okay.
And you can go to visit saltonsea.com is the easiest place to find more information. And there as well, like if you can't make it to the event, there's a Google form you can fill out if you want to connect virtually. I'm happy to do that too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She changed her screen picture. Anyway, is there any other comments?
Some people wouldn't even know that.
In the phone booth? Yeah, that's cool. No other comments?
Comments.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on to consent calendar. Does anybody have any comments to make on the consent calendar?
Madam President, I just had a question regarding the minutes. I noted that Vice President Estrada is not listed either as being, well, he's not listed anywhere. And on the roll call, but yet he's referenced to the minutes. I'm just wondering if that was,
Yes.
he was,
He was present.
then I would propose just that amendment to correction.
Thank you for catching that.
We can review that with the tape and make sure that that's properly reflected.
Thank you.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're all on that side.
Yeah.
That's fine.
No passing notes.
That's fine. We got to thread back together.
That's true. Okay, then can I have a motion with that correction to pass the consent calendar? Don't everybody speak at once.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded to accept the consent calendar with the addition of Director Estrada into the minutes. All those in, roll call vote, please. Sorry.
President Dockstader,
Aye.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Secretary Singh,
Yes.
Treasurer Morales,
Yes.
Director Aguilar,
Yes.
Director Perez,
Yes.
Director Murillo. Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to the Salton Sea Authority 5-year strategic plan that you have beautiful in front of you.
It is beautiful, ma'am. And I thank you for initiating this effort. I'm going to be reviewing the highlights. I'm not going to read all 60 pages, but I do have a couple of pages of notes here that highlights the content and the importance of the plan, and representatives from CV Strategies is here to answer any questions along the line. For the plan, and the staff is recommending that you review and approve and adopt the plan as presented or with any modifications you might have. So the Salton Sea Authority 5-year strategic plan serves as a comprehensive roadmap to guide the organization's activities through 2030. The plan is built upon a foundational priority of governance, strengthening the organizational structure and accountability, which supports 3 primary strategic pillars. Stakeholder collaboration, which enhancing coordination among local, tribal, state, federal, and community partners to align on restoration solution. funding, pursuing and sustaining diversified funding strategies, including grants and state and federal sources to support long-term restoration project and public health, prioritizing air quality, environmental exposure, and the overall well-being of the community as central drivers of restoration efforts. What this plan means is it is intended to evolve the authority from a convening body to a governance powerhouse capable of coordinating large-scale restoration investment. It is designed to accomplish three specific goals: to clarify the authority's mission and role within the evolving regional governance landscape, strengthen the organization's focus, internal alignment, and partnerships to assure effective coordination, and provide a practical guide to ensure long-term stability, results, and accountability. The implementation is designed to be flexible, treating the plan as a living document that adapts to changing conditions. The key steps include integrating the strategic priorities into an annual work plan, coordinating closely with regional, state, and federal partners on project delivery, establishing a periodic review process by staff and the board to evaluate progress and adjust priorities, maintaining public-facing dashboard to track major initiative funding status and decision timelines. The fiscal impacts and costs of this plan, the immediate commitment, the adoption of this plan does not require an immediate fiscal commitment. Future funding, the plan identifies funding as key priority and will guide the pursuit of grants and partnerships. And the budget implications are that the specific funding requests or budget changes related to implementation, such as filling at least 3.5 full-time equivalent staff positions, may be presented to the board to consider at a later date. This document is particularly important because it shifts the narrative. It moves the organization from being a convening body to a governance powerhouse. This is a significant strategic pivot that justifies the authority's existence as primary lead for restoration. Its scalable implementation by including a public-facing dashboard and a 5-year timeline, it builds a layer of transparency and accountability that the board members and public generally appreciate, and is fiscally prudent. The plan is framed so that the adoption doesn't immediately break the bank. It identifies the needs of more staff without forcing an immediate budget vote, which is often a smooth way to get the board to agree to a vision before hanging over the line. And then last, I would say, I've been involved in strategic planning exercises for a long, long time, as many of you have, I know. And my experience has been the first time you do a strategic plan, it's never perfect. The second time you get better at it. And the third time it becomes part of your DNA. The board did a strategic plan back in 2019. It was never completed. So I consider this to be our strategic plan 1.5. So I think it is a very helpful and useful process that will guide our work. But I think it will be important to revisit this in a couple of years, assess how we're doing in relation to it, and perhaps refresh it at that time. And with that, I am happy to answer any question or recommend the approval and adoption and implementation of the strategic plan.
Does anybody else have any comments?
Madam President, I do have a couple of comments, maybe comments / questions regarding a couple of the metrics that are in the report. And I'm not sure who wants to respond to this, but my first question is on strategy 1, where we talk about the MOU with the Conservancy, and we've established a timetable to have that executed by the end of this calendar year. So my question is, has that process started? And is the Conservancy on board with doing an MOU? That is my first question. And then my second question, just to get this all out on the table, is on strategy 8, we talked about forming this consortium of health agencies regarding concerns about public health. And my question there is, has that been initiated? And if so, kind of where does that stand?
I'll take them one at a time, and thank you for asking the questions. I greatly appreciate it. With respect to the metrics, as it relates to external players, we can't control them. But we do have, each one of our member agencies has representatives on the Conservancy. Ex officio, Shay has some influence with respect to the Conservancy. So the intent would be to achieve that, and to the extent it breaks down and fails, the board would certainly be apprised as to why we're unable to accomplish that. It just seemed like a reasonable objective and a responsible timeline to implement that. I think it would give both organizations clarity and direction with respect to their lane, if you will. And I think we can talk about that a little bit later, but the number 8 was on the,
That was on the,
and that has to do with the framework of assurance that we had been previously discussing. And I have taken some steps to meet with representatives from the various public health agencies and have received positive feedback for them on forming that. It's resource constrained. So to the extent that we can identify the resources, we can put together a more refined strategic plan that that operationalizes that and gets that done. So I think it's very, and again, there's something that we need to work together with our partners. One of the things that I think is not reflected in this plan, or this plan should suss out, is who should do what. Right? We don't need to do everything. We need to do what we can do well, and how we can serve the success of these efforts at and around the sea. I've highlighted those to this board based on what I see, and appreciate the feedback that I've received in that regard. But this further articulates that, and so we will advance that with the state, with our federal partners, with local stakeholder groups, and continue to keep the board apprised of the status of that work.
Joe, do you have any comments?
You know, I have not had a chance to
On the MOU.
review.
He's talking about the MOU.
Yeah,
With the Conservancy.
I have not had a chance to review this document in total, and would welcome the chance to talk more. This is the first I'm hearing about the MOU to the Conservancy proposal, but happy to talk more about that too. That's my immediate reaction.
It's a concept, right? And like I said, they have to embrace it. The Conservancy is fledgling, right? So talking to the Conservancy right now, we need to figure out who to talk to, and I think Joe will have more information as that moves forward. So part of it is identifying who at the Conservancy to have that conversation with in the first place. And I apologize, Joe, didn't mean to cut you off.
Thank you.
One of the comments I want to make is I do feel it is ambitious, but I think that's good. And even if you don't make the benchmarks exactly when you make it, at least you have those benchmarks. So you have goals, you have, so even if things, it takes an extra quarter here or there, but I do think it's a thing of beauty. And I was very excited to get the hard copy because I have my, off the Xerox machine copy that I wrote all over. But anyway, and I just love the pictures. Love the idea of having some more staff. Love whether it is addressing attendance at meetings. I just think there's so many good ideas in here. So I just appreciate the work that has gone into it. Thank you. Anybody else? I would just imagine Supervisor Perez will have some type of comment. That's just me, though.
I do, but I'm wondering if others have to speak. Otherwise, I will say a few things. I'm
Okay.
following up on John Aguilar's points, specifically dealing with governance and potential or non-potential or lack thereof collaboration with the Conservancy. Whatever that may mean, or whoever that may be, I think that we need to obviously make sure that at the state level, and Joe, you're going to play a role on this, a big one, I would anticipate, and ensuring the folks out there in Sacramento that we just completed this plan, and that there are strategies that we want to discuss with them. And obviously, we can discuss any one that they'd like to get into. But I really do think that the governance part is critical when it comes to our relationship with the Conservancy and what that truly is going to mean moving forward. And we got to spell that out so that ultimately it's feasible, it's thorough, it's not duplication, and we're not wasting resources. And I'd rather just get down to the point and let us know what it is, what you want, so at least we know where we're going. That's going to be important for us because up until now, it's kind of been up in the air. We hear that, we hear this, we hear that. But ultimately, this Conservancy doesn't even exist yet. At what point in time will it exist? So I think that it's important that we get into the nuances, the intricacies of governance specific to the Conservancy. Obviously, our water districts and Colorado River folks as well. But I think that's going to be very helpful moving forward so we're clear. That's one. On the public health side, I really appreciate the fact that there is a focus finally on public health. And what I mean by that, not that we never cared about it, but the fact that, we're dealing with issues of dust and air quality concerns.
Sir.
And I definitely do think that sooner or later, potentially sooner than later, we start having those conversations with public health in Imperial County as well as Riverside County and with the air quality management districts, both in Imperial County as well as in Riverside County, to let them understand that this is a concern for us and what are we going to do about it, working together, moving forward. And once again, identifying, defining what that means and what that looks like. The more clear we are on these efforts, I think the better it's going to be for all of us, no matter what organization we represent. And then those people from afar as well that are watching, so that they understand who potentially to talk to. Now, the one point that I really want to emphasize, and which is, I think, obviously equally as important. However, this is really, I think, why we continue to exist right now at this point, is the Army Corps of Engineer efforts. And I appreciate the fact that in Strategy 3, there is that metric, as well as a metric with our tribal members and working with them as well. And I think that obviously, ultimately, we need the Army Corps for the future funding that could potentially come from the feds, depending on what the outcome is going to be when we talk to these other entities as well, to kind of guide us as to what potentially the North Lake wetland is going to look like, if they're going to continue to support that or not, if they're going to support the efforts that are going on around Torres Martinez and those wetlands as well, or the North Shore efforts, and are they going to be able to support that, or is there a smaller version of that, and what does that really look like? But the Army Corps of Engineer, I think, can give us that push, that extra emphasis that's been missing, in my opinion, and that we're finally getting somewhere with them, to demonstrate to folks at any level of government that, we got our act together. And, we're not here just, having meeting after meeting for the sake of having meetings. And it's taken a while, but unfortunately, but it is what it is. And At the same time, though, we're going to continue to move forward the Salton Sea Authority so long as we are able to identify, in my opinion, these 3 points and define them and ensuring everybody in this group and this authority that they have a role to play. So those are just some points that I wanted to make by just quickly looking at this strategic plan. And I just want to thank CV Strategies for putting this together, and as well my colleagues for supporting the fact that now we have something now. Potentially we were going to maybe not use it, but I'm glad that we did. We decided to have this conversation. And I appreciate you, Patrick, for moving that along too. Obviously, you had a different recommendation, but from what I hear from you today, I think that you've changed maybe your mind or what have you, but I thank you for it because we do need this. We need something to guide us. And I think the state needs to know this, and the feds need to know this. The Army Corps of Engineers needs to know this, and so on and so forth. So thank you guys for the good work.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. I also want to give, if Director Estrada has anything to say. Opportunity.
Just good. Thank you for this, and I really don't have any additional comments.
You. Anybody else?
It's just good that we have a framework. I do agree. A lot of hard work went into it. I mean, I missed the brainstorming session, but I gave you guys an earful of what I thought when I met with you one-on-one. So it's good to see everyone's feedback in here to give us a launching pad. And like Gina had mentioned, we may not hit the benchmarks, but at least we know they're there. And if we have to figure out how to prolong them, we can prolong them, but just to get the vision done. So it's good to see it all written down and we have some sort of jumping off point to figure out how we progress. I mean, MOU with Conservancy, it'll happen when it happens. It may not happen if it doesn't happen, but that's not something that's going to stop us from continuing the work that we're trying to accomplish. So, good job.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Do I need a
Is there a recommendation?
Yes.
I so move on the recommendation that I have not read yet.
I'll second.
I know it's here. I know it's important. And that is, okay. Review, discuss, approve, and authorize implementation. I so move.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to authorize the implementation of the Salton Sea Authority 5-year strategic plan. May I have a roll call vote, please?
President Dockstader.
Aye.
Vice President Estrada.
Yes.
Secretary Singh.
Yes.
Treasurer Morales.
Yes.
Director Aguilar.
Yes.
Director Perez.
Yes.
Director Kelly.
Yes.
Director Murillo.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Moving on to fiscal 2027 budget principles.
Madam President, normally at this meeting, we would present for first review of the board, the 2027 operating budget of the authority. But in light of the finalization of the strategic plan and to ensure that its principles are incorporated in the proposed budget, what I wanted to do today was just highlight a few things that will be reflected in the budget that you will see when we meet again in May. I do not plan to recommend any increase in member contributions for the coming year. But as the strategic plan highlights, there are some new positions that will require resources in order to fulfill. We are working in a number of areas on a number of opportunities to secure multi-year funding sources to accomplish that. We feel positive about those pursuits. And hopefully by the time we get together in May, we can incorporate them with some degree of confidence that they can be realized upon, and those positions will be reflected therein. So there's no real action to be taken there today. I just wanted to, because we normally meet and discuss the budget at this time, to prepare the member agencies that the same amount that was contributed last year to the authority will be requested again this year with no increase.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Discussing reorganizational strategies for the authority.
Madam President, this is an item that was brought up at last month's meeting. And I would turn it over to the board for discussion and deliberation.
Who would like to go first?
Yeah.
No one.
No, well, who initiated this conversation? I think whoever did should be speaking up on this. And I know that there are some folks that I know I did, but I wasn't necessarily initiating this conversation. So I don't know who that was, but I think they should speak on this item.
I think it was an evolving conversation, Supervisor Perez, Director Perez. And the question was, it was multifold. I can deal with this from a couple of different directions, because one of the things that I have been working on as a reorganization, informed by the strategic plan and the work that we did there, working on a reorganization of the board more holistically. But there was a discussion about with the departure of IID, whether or not the current makeup of the board and its leadership optimizes our ability to advance our efforts in Sacramento and DC and otherwise. So that's how the conversation evolved. And if the board chooses not to continue that discussion, it's the discretion of the board.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
here's my thought. I think we need to complete the year with the slate that's in place. Whether the IID is departing from our Salton Sea Authority, it has nothing to do with our ability to move forward the projects to complete that have been scheduled for this year. If it's not broken, what are we trying to fix? I think we should just continue as is and continue with the slate that's in place. It's my feedback.
Thank you, Martha.
Chair, can I speak up?
Sorry, what?
No, I was wondering, can I speak up or
Your microphone's on.
Oh, you need her to speak up?
is there someone else in line?
Oh, no, but did you hear Martha's comments?
I did.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Well, look, I have a different opinion on that. And let me tell you why. Because if it wasn't broken, then why make the change? Meaning, why would IID leave? Let's dig deeper on that. And if it's not broken, then my opinion is that the partners should be partners and they should be here as partners. And if not, and if an entity decides to move on, there's a reason for that. So apparently, IID might think that it's broken one way or another, or they may decide that they don't want to spend time on this, whatever it is. And so, and I get that, and that's okay, that's up to them. So that's where I have to differ with you. Aside from that, the projects, we obviously have to move them forward as an authority. But that being said, though, it's important that the face of this organization take lead. And it's important that that lead be part of the Salton Sea Authority. So if we're going to continue with this slate, like you mentioned, I would love for that to happen. Only if IID is going to stay at the table. And if that's not the case, then I'm going to ask that we make the change and that we actually do have an individual at the helm that's going to be speaking about on behalf of being the face of the Salton Sea Authority as its leader. I think that's critical as well. So that's my point of view, and obviously folks might agree or disagree, but if we need to take a vote on it, I'm prepared to take a vote on it.
Thank you, Supervisor Perez. Appreciate your comments. I think just
I have
go
I
ahead.
have some comments if
Go right ahead, Director Estrada.
yeah, my thoughts, and I think I've shared some of this is also along the lines of transitioning, trying to figure out what's better for the agency as we're kind of preparing to kind of move on without IID as a member agency of this organization. I think that we are doing a lot with a lot of our partner agencies, with whether it be at the state level, at the federal level. We probably have some important interactions coming up in DC, with the Army Corps, with the legislature, with just different partners, and I think it's probably a better idea that we start handling those relationships through a person in this agency who's going to be able to carry those things forward, not just for the remainder of this uh, slate, but I think these are things that we're working on for several years, and the more that we can do to kind of foster those relationships, I think it's better for the agency. And I hate to see that IID's moving on, but that's IID's decision. And so that's kind of my perspective, and it's not so much on the individual. Gina, I think you do a wonderful job. I think you've represented this agency very well. I see you being very active, and I would have loved to have been able to continue to see that, but I think IID moving on, it just, for me, it forces me to think about those relationships beyond June. I think it's important that we transition on. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Director Estrada. Anybody else? I think my only reminder would be the slate would end in after the next meeting. Is that correct, Patrick? Because isn't it? Would we have a meeting in June if we have a meeting in May because of the budget? Okay,
For the transition, because in June is when we would normally elect a slate,
uh-huh.
but the incoming leadership team would begin their seating in July.
In July, okay.
Patrick, your mic is off.
The answer is there are 2 more meetings after this.
Yeah, the short answer is.
Yeah, there you go. The short answer, yeah. Thank you.
You have an additional comment, Madam Chair?
Sure, go ahead.
I mean, I don't know the technicality of the question, but I would recommend that if we're going to have a conversation that results in some changes today, that those changes be effective tomorrow.
Right. No, I was just asking, just because when Martha said, continue the slate on, I didn't want people to think that meant until the end of December.
Okay, understood.
That it's a mid-year change. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
But appreciate everybody's comments, and I'm gonna ask for a vote.
So move for the vote now. How is it being framed?
Hold on, Supervisor Kelly has a comment.
So I have 2 questions. Is the current slate of officers willing to assume the leapfrog and has that already been requested? Anybody polled to find out if they will accept roles? Is that yes or no?
I think that there may have been discussions about who might serve in certain roles, whether or not the board would choose to seat those positions would be the decision of the board.
Okay, so then knowing the officer list, is there anybody, because this is an interim to a new election, are those officers willing to assume the next step in obligation in the short term?
Because then we would just jump up.
So Estrada would be president. Singh would be vice president. Morales would be secretary, and then not sure who would be treasurer. I don't know the order of that one.
And Supervisor Kelly, I at least from my perspective, my intent was to have that conversation as part of this item. I would be open to go in a different direction. And I think it would be probably wise to have the person who's going to serve the rest of this term also be the person that's going to continue the next one.
How long is the term?
1 year, I believe.
Okay.
So I have to ask the question, Costello. Since you're the vice chair and you would assume the role of chair, would you be willing to continue the role of chair?
I think that if there's somebody else who thinks that they have the desire to do that, I'd be open to not necessarily having to move into the chair position. I am open to not having to do it. And so, I want to put that out there. I don't want I know I've have had some conversation with some other members here to gauge their interest, and I think they've expressed some interest, and I'm prepared to make a motion for that.
So we would be filling, if we do the vote and if we're doing again, there's two roads. So we can do the vote and then say that we're going to pick a new chair for the board temporarily until June and then just have a regular election. We can do that if Estrada doesn't want to do it. I mean, the other two officers are myself and Martha. So, I mean, it'd just be a temporary until we do elections in June. Or the other option is what Estrada was presenting was we elect a new chair now and they take over the term starting July 1st, that they just fulfill the year plus these 3 months.
If I might interject, the conversation itself suggests
Two roads.
that, whether the board continues in June or not, it can change in July if that was inappropriate. The board can make a decision in June about how to go forward.
Carlos, if I can ask, according to our bylaws, what is the requirement or what happens if the slate should change, mid-cycle?
If you're gonna have a vacancy, that normally the vice chairperson would generally put that vacancy unless the board directs, but procedurally that's how it works. Obviously, the board could make a decision to change that, regardless if you have a vacancy, the vacancy is until the end of the term, so technically the vacancy is until June 30th. So either one, the vice would assume those roles, or the board could choose to fill that vacancy. Otherwise, in any event, the term would end June 30th, and come July, your traditional procedure would have a new slate as determined by the board.
Or thirdly, it just stays the way it is for the next two meetings and then we have regular elections. That's the third option. Yeah.
So just a question, excuse me, Supervisor. If I can just get my question out. So, so there would be, Carlos, there would be two motions. One regarding the suggestion of the slate retention, maybe that's a separate motion. And then if the vice chair declines the moving up, then do we take nominations from the floor for the chairman?
We would at that point, because generally the vice chair generally would assume that role. However, if they chose not to, then you would have to appoint somebody to that position.
Can I ask a question in that regard? Because you and I talked about it at length before the last meeting. And the way that we approached it was to allow for a reorganization of the board at this meeting at the discretion of the board. So I don't know that there would be vacancies per se, but rather that the board would be reorganized out of cycle in a manner that the board would determine appropriate. And I think that's the way it was reflected in the minutes and the way it was agendized.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you guys have.
Discretion
couple
of the board.
options. I guess overall, I mean, it's what direction of the board want to do. If we do reorganized, you have a lot of latitude in that. So it kind of comes down to how you want to get to the end. And then we could either, reorganize the entire slate, be treated as a vacancy, normally people move up. Ultimately, obviously you could also, if you do a slate, it could be technically either to June 30th or also include that to the run until the next fiscal year. So you
To
do
make
have-
this easier, I'm willing to just have everything move up. If that helps. I'm
You-
okay with that.
You wanted to be the chair.
If I have to be, that's fine. If that's easier,
I mean, again, I think we're 3 steps ahead of ourselves. The first thing we need to decide is, are we going to remain with the chair that we have? Because if we are, then there's no conversation. If we decide that we're not, then we have a vacancy and we can have a conversation on how to fill the vacancy, but we haven't made the determination if there's a vacancy yet or not.
Right. So I will ask to have a
Well-
vote, whether you want to, but I need somebody to make a motion, unless I make the motion.
So I will. So I've been captivated by this picture. It's on page 36. Down below strategy point 6. Of attendance in this room, I think I may have been the only one that was in the picture. This is 2015. And I see Ralph Cordova, see Johnny Hernandez, see Phil Rosentrader.
Huh.
I see Antonio Ortega, my brother, Steve Benson, Bruce Kuhn. See a lot of people. So my motion is that this is no reflection on Chairwoman Dockstetter. This is on the decision by IAD to leave the organization, and that an organization must be headed and fronted by a participant that is obligated and responsible into the agency. And that's why I make the motion to change and move in order, if accepting, with the officers that are in place, and to readdress at the regular election cycle for the Salton Sea Authority.
A second.
And I hope I don't have to repeat that whole motion, right? I'll go back, Lisa, and rewind that.
I think it's important.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will ask for a roll call vote, please.
President Dockstader,
No.
Vice President Estrada,
Yes.
Secretary Singh,
No.
Treasurer Morales.
Yes.
Director Aguilar,
Yes.
Director Perez,
Yes.
Director Kelly,
Yes.
Director Murillo.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. All right, everyone.
So would you finish up this meeting, I guess, and then the next one? Everyone,
Yes.
up? Is that what goes on here?
That's what we
I think
discussed.
so, yes.
We did have that discussion, yes. I will finish this meeting and then, according to that motion, then Director Estrada will run the next meeting.
And then June we'll have elections to start for July.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Colorado River Post 2026 operating guidelines update. I hope you're not asking me for an update because I'm going to say there isn't one.
That would be the right person to ask. A peek under the hood, maybe.
A peek under the hood, there is no real update, right? The Valentine's Day, February 14th came and went with no 7-state agreement. In addition, no lower basin state agreement, no 6-state agreement, no 20-year agreement, no 5-year agreement, and no 2-year agreement. JB Hamby has been working very diligently, very hard as well, as the rest of the staff. There just is no movement from the upper basin, which is unfortunate. So I have a lot more. I could talk about this for 2 hours, but I know we don't want the meeting to go for 2 hours. So after that February 14th deadline, everybody needed a little break, a little reset. There's been talks about bringing in a mediator. Reclamation has not swung a big stick yet, so there isn't really a need to get to consensus, at least from 7 basin states. So we are looking at what happens if there is no agreement. And again, discussions have gone as far as just getting a 2-year agreement just to get something on the table. So your guess is as good as mine. And if you read the newspapers, you can see Arizona's getting ready. A lot of people are putting their narratives out there about why that water is so important to them. So, as well as it is important to us as well.
Thank you, Madam President. That's the 30,000 foot level, but at the Salton Sea Authority ground zero level. What we talked about in our previous meeting that the EIS presupposes that the impacts of the sea are not a federal responsibility,
Right.
but that the tool in the toolbox to address that is the USACE feasibility study that we're working on in conjunction with the state. So we have been advancing that regardless of what happens, and I think we'll be talking about that a little bit. I did want to note that Reclamation received 18,145 submissions during the EIS comment period, including 781 unique submissions from public, tribes, states, federal agencies, non-governmental organizations, and other stakeholders. Over 12,000 from letters, over 5,000 form letters, 12,000 form letters, over 5,000 form letters with unique content, and 51 duplicate submissions. And there's a list from here to kingdom come of everybody who's paying attention to this issue. So if we can't figure this out, it's going to be messy. So that's my editorial.
And full disclosure, I am not reading all of those comment letters. I have read some of the big ones though, so.
What I did is I put them in AI and said, what is this?
Yeah. So unfortunately, I have nothing good to tell you at all. As well as hydrology, but again, I could talk about this for 2 hours. And you'd be bored.
It's hard to imagine a scenario that wherever this lands, consensual or otherwise, that the Salton Sea is not going to be affected. So we will continue to pay attention and work together with our neighbors to the south to make sure that we have positive outcomes.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Proposition 68, North Lake Wetlands.
We have not had any new information on that. I know that the last time we met, we had some discussions about the state and about putting together something that would facilitate the advancement of the remaining $17 million. I know it's something the state wants to get done by the end of the fiscal year. I don't know that Joe has more information on that or not. I think he might.
Just a quick update, I would say we received, I think, the latest agreement from the authority on Monday. Monday, Patrick?
Did we?
Thanks. So our team is working to close out that. Yeah. So that's a big lift for our admin team. But after that, so by next meeting, we'll, I think, be ready to come with a proposal that more clearly outlines how we would like to proceed and continuing to coordinate to deliver this project. I will say, since we held our meeting last November, where we talked about this kind of newly formed partnership and agreement in principle to have our Department of Water Resources take on the expanded project, our team has gotten to work in earnest. There are 91 parcels covering the desired project area. We've run the title reports for 90 of them. 30 of them require additional site investigation. So our team is doing that as we speak. We had a call this morning at 8 a.m. to talk a little bit more about that. Last year, we did some of the wetlands mapping and surveys. This year, we're going to do more advanced mapping of the wetlands, geotechnical work, and additional surveys with a goal of putting a request for qualifications, an RFQ, on the street later this year. The significance of that document is it allows us to go try to recruit contractors and initiate the bid process so that we can get someone under contract to build this project. So that's what I would say for now, and look forward to talking more details at our meeting in May, but happy to answer any questions that folks might have.
And it would be impossible to discuss this item or frankly, the next one without mentioning all the hard work that DWR and especially Yvonne Wilhoff is doing to advance all of this. What we're doing, and Joe points out what Joe's referring to is the final submittal for the Prop 68 grant for the North Lake project. The county has been working on a rather lengthy letter describing all the work that has gone into it. And, you know, we had a meeting with the Corps recently, and there a lot of the work that we did do on the North Lake project will inform the Corps' work, thankfully. And that concludes.
Thank you. It's been going on since 2018, and it'll be great when something happens. All right, moving on to feasibility study, unless anybody had any comments, sorry. Feasibility study update, a rapid implementation.
So we had and I'm going to ask Lisa and if they're on our state team both to talk about the funding sides of this and things that are taking place. But let me talk a little bit about the rapid implementation of this. Rapid is the Corps loves acronyms, and I should have brought what it means, but it means hurry up and get it done. They want to see projects, not proposals. They want to see work in the ground. And our initial effort before Rapid was implementing was we had originally have a vertical team authorization memo that has the overall ecosystem restoration project, and we had an early start increment that would get projects in the ground sooner. Before Rapid was implemented, we said, well, let's just get the project done. So the early increment was not the focus of our attention, but what Rapid wants to do is it wants to get projects done sooner. So what we probably are going to be doing is looking at the overall, looking at the time and resources necessary to get the overall approval, but also look at the projects that the drivers, the Corps now requires 35% engineering on these projects. And so they're trying to identify what project can be reached, what project can we reach 35% engineering so that we can get it into WRDA to get funding and get the projects in the ground. This is a whole new concept that's being implemented Corps wide. It's kind of like building the plane at 35,000 feet a little bit. If we can inform the process and make it beneficial, it could be helpful, but things are probably going to break along the way too. We just spent the last day along with representatives from CNRA and DWR in LA the last 2 days working with the Corps to try and flush some of this out. I would characterize our conversations as productive. I think the common message from DWR, CNRA, and the authority is if it doesn't solve the whole picture, it's not very interesting to us. We want to create a vision of what this entire revitalized ecosystem looks like, and the Corps is on board with that. And this process will do that. It's a cumbersome and complicated process. It's going to take work and it's going to take resources, and we're working together to identify, again, as discussed in the strategic plan, who should do what, how it's going to get done, and move forward. Joe, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to that. Joe was part of the conversation and ate a lot of donuts.
Only 3, Patrick. Only 3.
That fourth was so tempting.
Just taking a step back, when I started this role, one of the things that, folks mentioned in kind of bringing me up to speed on, things I needed to learn about the Salton Sea was all the different, plans and initiatives and attempts to, restore the sea to some semblance of, what it was, 40, 50 years ago, or just try to initiate some type of large scale restoration plan and planning. And, I heard from folks who walked me through the different initiatives just over the years to try to come up with a plan, and then had issues, implementing different parts of the plan for a lot of reasons that I now, understand very deeply, just because it is such a hard space to make progress, and yet, we've shown over the last couple of years that progress is possible. But what I'll say is, let's not make this initiative be one of those times where things almost came together, but then they didn't. We have to figure out how to rally around this plan. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be a lot of, fits and starts and challenges we have to navigate along the way. And we're not going to agree on, all the different components as this process moves along. It's a big contingent of willing partners that are going to be essential to get this thing done. And we've got to make sure that we're just prioritizing the progress that we can achieve if we continue to remain steadfast and focused on this whole C solution, which I believe is possible through this process.
So part of that, we think, and we've discussed, how do we bring people along in that process, and so for some time we have been stressing the importance of outreach and engagement so that people understand where we land. It may be different than what their expectations are, but give them a sense of why this is the best solution with the resources and opportunities that are available. So we have put in, we've discussed previously, a resource for outreach and engagement. We're working on some discrete funding for that. It's not far enough advanced for me to bring it to the board for consideration, but I am hopeful that we can get that done as part of this overall effort. And I will hopefully be able to report that at our next board meeting. I know that the federal side of it, the Congress is in the 2027 appropriations process, and I know Ms. Moore is on the phone and can give us an update on that.
Yep, sure. So we are in the FY27 appropriations process. We typically takes a little bit more than a year for Congress to actually pass the bills. So we're usually kind of well into 27. In FY26, we secured $1.76 million for the Army Corps study. Just as a background, because this is sort of not intuitive necessarily to people, we actually, as the authority, seek funds in the congressional appropriations process that go to the Corps of Engineers. So that's not funding that comes to the authority. Having said that, we need to advocate for them, and we need to, work with our congressional delegation, and that's really important. That's a role that we've fulfilled since the study first launched. So in order to put those requests in, we did submit them, I guess, a couple of weeks ago now, to our two senators and to Congressman Ruiz and to Congressman Calvert. We have typically been in the bill on the Senate side, and then maintained funding through conference. So typically, what will happen now if the senators decide to advance the requests that we've asked for Army Corps funding for FY27, that they will write a letter to the Appropriations Committee reflecting that they're asking for that. That's kind of our first sign that we've gotten kind of through the first challenge, which is being one of their requests. Then the Appropriations Committee will set about writing the bills in the spring. Usually we start to see those in the summer. The theory of the case should be that they're passed by the end of the fiscal year, but typically it takes Congress a little bit longer to do their work. In developing those requests, we spent a lot of time, and the state did as well, Joe and Yvonne and James, with the Corps of Engineers to really try to understand what the FY27 numbers should be. And we have these, as Patrick alluded to, we've got, right, this rapid change in policy, and there's also now 35% design requirements. So it was a little difficult to pin down a number to ask for. And so we did provide sort of, which is kind of how Congress likes to see it, a range that really just reflects the number. The high number is 2.146 million. The lowest number we say that we could deal with is 1.5 and change. Those all come from our official VTAM memo with the Corps setting out what their expectation of the FY27 budget should be. As you could tell from Patrick and Joe and Yvonne spending the last couple of days with the Corps, we're really trying to understand a little bit better how these changes in policy will affect what they need in FY27. I've communicated that to every office that we've submitted an appropriations request to say, look, this is why you see a range. And we have really been working over the course of the last couple of months to really try to pin the number down a little bit better than we have. And they've been very understanding about that because they understand kind of how the Corps operates. But that is the process and I will continue meeting with Hill staff. I took a couple of calls last night from our Senate offices indicating that they were definitely working on it. So that's always nice to see. So if anyone has any questions about the process, I'm happy to answer them.
And as part of that submittal, Lisa.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I should say thanks to the state submitted a letter. Director Perez wrote us a letter of support. You're required to put in letters of support and then resolutions also from a regional body. So you may recall, it might have been a year ago or so, the authority, we put together a resolution so we would kind of have that ready for this process. And then Director Perez and Director Kelly both wrote individual letters in their role as supervisors. And then also, and thanks to Joe, Secretary Crowfoot also wrote a letter of support in support of the appropriations request. Thank you, Joe.
Thanks, Lisa.
So the state has also been doing some work to enhance the success of the feasibility study. I know Nick's on the line, and we had he's doing some work with bringing Senator Padilla up to speed and otherwise. So I'll just let him chat a little bit about what's going on there.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Patrick, and good morning, board. Yeah, we have been engaging Senator Steve Padilla on the state side, bringing him up to speed on our comment letter on the Colorado River, as well as the work on the Army Corps study. Similar to the federal government, the earmark requests were rather limited this year. The state's looking at a multi-year $25 billion budget deficit. So their earmark requests were asked to max out at $1 million for local projects. So we did put in a $1 million earmark request to Senator Steve Padilla to support with community engagement and other activities around the Army Corps feasibility study. And so we are continuing that discussion. Those budget hearings are just beginning in the Senate. And so we will have the next 3 months to work with the senator on landing some funding for the authority. To that end, we've been talking with Patrick about having some meetings with all of you, and hopefully in Sacramento over the coming months, to have a direct one-on-one discussion with the senator, with the Senator Member Gonzalez, and a number of other key budget players up here in Sacramento. And so, Patrick, if you want me to go into other state updates as of right now, I'm glad to report that we have a budget earmark request submitted. And we'll continue to work on that over the next, like I mentioned, the next 3 months here in the legislature. The next checkpoint is after, as you imagine, after the April tax receipts, the May revise, we call it up here. The estimates are pretty broad, whether or not we have a $10 billion surplus or a $25 billion deficit. Folks smarter than me are figuring that out, but there's a lot of kind of tentative discussions right now about what's going to be available in earmarks for this year.
Thank you, Nick.
Happy to answer any questions.
I don't think we have any questions. Are we ready to move on to Desert Shores?
This is gonna be a short meeting. Yeah.
Listen, they don't all have to be long.
Yeah.
I am.
Although if this is my last one, maybe we should talk over out. Go ahead.
Okay, so Desert Shores, we have been working to amend the grant agreement. That process is substantially complete. There are 3 pieces of deliverables that I need to get back to the Bureau by today, which are just administrative, nothing that is would influence the outcome of that result, and we will have that modification completed before the end of the month. We have a meeting this afternoon with the county to discuss site control issues, and which I think is going to be one of the critical drivers for the success of that project. The grant amendment, the purpose of the amendment was to take the grant proceeds that were allocated by the Bureau, recognizing the technical complexity of the project that we discovered as a result of our original due diligence once we got into it, and use the entire grant proceeds for design purposes, so that when we are completed, we'll have a shovel-ready project that we can go out and bid and build. And so the Bureau has allowed us to do that, and hopefully this time next year or shortly after that, we will be in a position to move that project to the next step. Happy to answer any questions. Are there someone online?
Yes, Tom Sefton would like to make a comment.
Hi, Tom. Go ahead.
Hello, thanks for the opportunity. We just want to let you know that the property owners, Bahia Del Mar Property Owners Association, which represents that particular development, is awaiting information from Salton Sea Authority's contractor about what kind of help you want with the site control. So we stand ready to assist with that in talking to our friends and neighbors about obtaining whatever site control you deem is necessary to implement the project.
Thank you, Tom. Very helpful.
And I also hope that you will take careful notice of what's going on the Colorado River. The Salton Sea is almost completely dependent on waste stream flows from Colorado River applied to crops and municipalities and industry. And if that takes a major reduction, if IID is forced to do major reductions in their water supply, likewise Coachella Valley Water District, it will have a dramatic impact on the Salton Sea. And I hope that is being taken into account in the feasibility study when you look at what the long-term future is going to be, because both immediately and in the long term, there are serious unpredictability and likely reductions in water supply from the river. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Important points that he makes. All right, any more comments about Desert Shores, or can we move on? I know we already heard it from Lisa, but does she have anything else to add besides feasibility study?
I'm betting she's good.
And she's good. And we kind of heard from Nick as well.
Thumbs up.
Oh, thumbs up. Okay. We heard from Nick as well, so
He's good.
we're good.
Thumbs
Okay.
up from Nick.
All right, Miguel Hernandez, you are up. Senor.
No thumbs up.
No, it's my turn.
2 thumbs up from me.
Okay, hi, great to see you guys again. My name is Miguel Hernandez, Public Affairs Officer with the Salton Sea Program, the Natural Resources Agency, and I have a brief update to share with you all. First, I want to start off with our Species Conservation Habitat Project. As you know, we filled 2 of the ponds within this project area, filling about 2,000 acres with water. Those are the East Pond and the East Pond expansion areas. And work continues on the further expansion area on the Center and West Pond. That's on the north part of this project, getting into like closer to the sea, the larger body of water of the sea. So we're making a good progress there. I was actually there yesterday. I was able to see a lot of dirt being moved around the project area. I'm also going to be there tomorrow for another tour. We've had a ton of tours this early in the year, which is actually the best time to have tours at this project and just be at the sea overall. So yeah, we're making great progress towards the expansion of this SEH project. And we want to showcase as much as we can by bringing folks and seeing it firsthand. And with that, I want to highlight one of many tours that we've had. We actually were able to host students from Southwest High School in El Centro. We had that late February. I happen to be a Southwest Eagle myself, so that was great. That was good memories about lunchtime and stuff like that. So that was a great experience. And this was part of, we did this, of course, in coordination with Ms. Jackie Valadez from the Southwest High School, who's the lead teacher for the CTE program, Career Technical something. Anyways, this program that's being offered for students to, in regards to community health work. So that was sort of this hands-on experience that the teacher was able to bring him into our project. So of course, we visited the different elements or parts of this project, like the pump station, the New River Weir, and just saw the overall activity on these two ponds that have been filled. There's tons of birds out there. That day, particularly, we saw a good amount of white pelicans on that southern east pond. That was pretty impressive for students. It's always great if you've ever been there as you cross over the New River. That's the first things you see. You see this field ponds there, and you see the amount of activity that's there. So you always or good. A lot of times we've heard like this grasping sound, like see that impression. That's always great to hear from folks, and especially from younger leaders that are getting to visit this project. So it was a really, hopefully a really good experience for the students to witness and see these projects firsthand. So on a personal note, I think it's just great that we're able to connect what they're learning in the classroom and then kind of connecting to what's happening here at the Salton Sea and with the restoration projects that we've been implementing at the sea. And the questions were great. It's not just about the project, but beyond that, like what's going to happen with the sea overall, for the long term. And even some questions in regards to career opportunities or how is it to work here at the Salton Sea? So always great to have that, fresh mindset, fresh eyes, fresh ideas and how things are moving forward. And also a fresh perception of our work at the sea. So that was a really great experience. And like I said, we have other tours that we've done. We also had the Salton Seabird Festival early in the year. And we've had so many partners coming up and see the project firsthand. So always an open invitation for folks to come and visit. You can connect directly with me or contact or through our website. Send us an email. We'll get things worked through and coordinate. It is an active construction site, so it is close to the public where we can have this type of visits be coordinated. And I also suggest that we do that either before the hot summer hits, which kind of feels like today, and of course, or after the temperatures get better. Yeah.
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm really happy, and so I lift these activities up of making our own community aware of what is happening, and lift up Joe for so about a year and a half ago, Joe and I were at the Burger and I in Brawley, and I was telling him, look, nobody knows that this investment has been made in Imperial Valley. And Joe's really? And so then I asked the waitress, I asked some of the people in the restaurant. Nobody knew that hundreds of millions of dollars has been invested in creating this. So I lift you up and also Joe for listening and trying to address that, because people in Westmoreland, Brawley, Calapat, they have no idea that down the road a huge investment has been made, and it's partial, but it's movement in the right direction.
Miguel, do you want to tell Supervisor Kelly what you were doing yesterday? Because I think that ties in very nicely to his comment.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, as part of our outreach and engagement plans and how we can get folks on the know what we're doing and what's happening at the sea, we were able to go and tour around the Salton Sea, our different project areas, um, including, of course, SEH or Wedge projects, North Lake project, Bombay Beach wetland. So the sort of initial array that we have on the work right now. We brought a video crew to film underground video, also drone footage, and also pictures, so we can start developing this different educational videos that we can let folks know what we're doing out there at the sea, who we are as a program, who's the um, um, Salton Sea program with the state, and what our goals are. Also talk a little bit more about the feasibility study and each of the individual projects and what we're aiming to achieve. Within those projects at the Salton Sea. So yeah, that's kind of on the works. We got that recorded just yesterday, so expect that some of those videos be released later in this year.
Yeah, and I think you and I, Supervisor Kelly, we can go back to the Burger and I with a computer and show everyone the videos. That's the goal. That's the goal.
They can just
Yeah.
yeah, they could display it and have it on loop on their menu TVs, right? Yeah. Great. So talking about the good work that we're doing at the sea, please be on the lookout for this year's annual report. As you might know, the Salton Sea program has a commitment to deliver this annual report by the end of March every year. And this will happen this year again. So we will have that ready the next week or the next 2 weeks or so. It usually gets sent to the water board, but then we also send it over a newsletter, and also we get it on our website. We also get some physical copies made in case you need one, or any member of the public needs one. We can have that available. I guess the next step or next effort for this annual report, so it just doesn't sit there or just paper on the table. We actually offer community meetings to go over that annual report. So we're planning, and please save on your calendars, May 6th, 7th, and 8th. 3 different dates, 2 different venues in person, 1 virtual, where we would go over the actual annual report, what's in it in each of its chapters, some of the major highlights, what was accomplished back in 2025, and also some of the next steps and what's expected for the next of this year. Of course, the feasibility study, that's a germ we want to keep meeting, till completion. So we want to make sure that we always tie it to the current work that's in parallel with the feasibility study as well. So again, that's May 6th at 5:30. This one's going to be at the North Shore Yacht Club. So hopefully we'll be able to see a good, really nice sunset at that time, 5:30. Doors will open at 5, but meeting officially starts 5:30. Then the next day, May 7, also at 5:30, this one's going to be at Grace Smith Elementary School in Nyland. In fact, this is the first time that our program offers a community meeting in Nyland. So it will be great to connect with the members of this community. And of course, our outreach will encompass not only the Nyland community, will go beyond perhaps Raleigh and Bombay and all that area, so we can gather all folks from these different communities to this location. And then on the next day, May 8th, we'll offer a webinar type option. Perhaps it's not as engaging on an in-person event, but we do want to get the word out on what was accomplished in 2025 through this webinar on Zoom. And of course, all of our materials, flyers, presentations will be both English and Spanish, as well as our annual report. In fact, we're working on that as we speak. And then another date I want to share with you is the State Water Board Annual Salton Sea Workshop. This is where our program comes and shares the work that happened in the previous year with the State Water Board. So this time will be in May 20th. The in-person location will be in Sacramento at the Cali PA building, but they will also offer virtual participation options, as well as the watch-only webcast option that they regularly offer. So that's again May 20th, and that's regularly like an all-day event starting from 9 a.m. Usually ends at 3 or 5. So book all day for that event and expect perhaps a lot of the good information that we share on our earlier meetings for the community meetings, but this one, it's a bit more technical and gets into a little bit more details about our work and what we have coming up. So I think both meetings complement each other, the one with the community meeting to help them get ready or have more context as of what we're going to present on the May 20th meeting with the water board. And that's all I got for you guys.
Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Very informative. Moving on to Salton Sea State Recreation Area. Do we have Ray Lennox on the line or
I
something?
did not see him online.
Okay.
So we were made aware that Enrique is retiring.
No.
That's right.
When?
At the end of the month.
Immediately.
This month, end of the month?
Yeah,
I like Enrique's shout
I
out.
think that's a bummer.
Yes. Shoot.
But
Okay.
good for him.
Right. Yeah. Good for him. Okay. How about Alan Pace? Do we have a Salton Sea Action Committee?
I do not see him online.
Okay. All right. Patrick, you're up.
So I met a guy, let's see if this works. There you go. So I met a guy in Bombay Beach named Uwe Martin. Anybody's met Uwe? I think he's kind of an engineer or something like that. I think he's from Germany or someplace like that. But he's doing some work at and around the sea. And this was a mapping session that they had going on last Saturday. And it was fascinating. You know, people came in and he promoted it through the network there, and people were coming in and writing things and drawing things. And I walked around the board and I was quite fascinated by how much people do understand and what they do know, and trying to consolidate those thoughts and providing informed responses from that, I thought was educational to me. So he's got other work that he's doing through this mapping effort, and I thought it was worth following, and just wanted to point that out to the board. And then finally, the only other thing I wanted to mention that I intended to mention during our discussion on the strategic plan is I did receive a final billing from CV Strategies, which was significantly more than what the board had approved in our November meeting. And we just got that yesterday, so we'll be reviewing that, and I'll present it to the board in May with discussion and presentation. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. And then I'm just, where was the pic? We were in Bombay Beach. Where was that?
Bombay Beach, it was at the
the
coffee
community
shop there, whatever the area where, I don't know what they call it.
Okay. Yeah, not at the community center, but
The community center.
Oh, the community center.
But they, I don't know what, it's like
They
a
have
bunch of
coffee
buildings.
every Wednesday. I think they have it almost every morning. But
It's the art
it's no longer on Wednesday.
Arts Center.
Yeah, that's different than the community center. Yeah, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Larissa wanted to say something.
Yeah,
so-
that's, yeah, let her, she can tell you.
Yeah. Go ahead, Larissa. Invite me for coffee.
Yeah, Uwe, I'm sure that he might be listening. It's at BBAC, Bombay Beach Arts and Culture Center. It's where the big like weather vane fishes. It's on Second and C. No, sorry, not Second.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. I can. But he's doing it again. I think this weekend.
I think he's presenting it at the Biennale, is what I was told.
Yeah.
Whenever that is, whatever. that is.
Okay, whatever that is. All right.
But it's really interesting because she says fish, you know, the perspective matters. She sees a fish, I see an airplane.
That's funny. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was session 1 of 3. So there's going to be more happening in April and May. So we'll make sure to get all of that information over to you.
We can push it out.
Thank you.
All right. Does anybody else have anything before I adjourn? Oh, wait, Joe does.
Oh, just one more note from our meeting with the Army Corps this week. We had talked about tentatively trying to do a couple public meetings the week of April 27th. We don't have dates that week yet, but maybe Patrick and we'll work with that team to get some dates to you all within the next week or so, because it would be really, really great to make sure that we're getting lots of people to those events. It's going to help shape the process. We don't know exactly where the process will lead us, but by bringing, as many folks in as we can, as early as we can, I think we can arrive at a really, really positive place this year for that process.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Patrick, the meeting in November, I think we brought up the idea, it was during one of the planning sessions. Having more information gathered about the Central Arizona project, Hermosillo and importation of water. Can we get someone on an agenda to be able to present how that's moving and because I'm reading more and more articles about their movement in that direction.
We will take note of that and put something together for the next board meeting.
Thank you.
Would you, Supervisor Kelly, would you like that ask communicated to one of the companies involved in that effort for Arizona?
Tom, if you know somebody, just send it to Patrick.
There you go.
I do, will do.
Bypass Ryan altogether.
Thank you.
All right. There's nothing further. Then
Can I say one more thing? I'm
one
sorry.
more thing.
Okay, Iron Dad's gonna kill me, but if I don't, but he will be doing his annual run around the sea on April 4th, probably. More details are coming. I think he may start this year from around North Shore or the State Rec area. So more details coming soon, but yeah, it'll be the first weekend of April. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, and make sure he stays hydrated. It's already getting warm, so he's
I
probably
know,
thinking
I'm
he should have
worried.
done it in February, but that's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.